believe that at least my personal experience is a lot of composure is required, a lot of empathizingness is required, a lot of listening skills are required. Because as a lawyer, you tend to be aggressive, putting your foot down on the person, that this is what it is, this is what I'm saying, this is what law is. But at times you need to go beyond law and understand. I mean, obviously, there's a difference between litigation and other legal field. So litigation, you can press upon, you can fight, argue between with your counsels or your opposite party's counsel. You may tend to even kind of raise your voice before the judge. At times it happens.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of LegalWiki, your go-to source for legal education and inspiration, where we interact with the best legal professionals from the various legal industry. In today's episode, I'm excited to have Mr. Sandeep Yadav sir on my channel. He has over 11 years of experience at PwC, and soon he will join the industry as in-house counsel. Sandeep sir possesses a wide range of skills and expertise. His experience involved ensuring regulatory and statutory compliance and providing advice on corporate and commercial laws, labor laws, corporate restructuring, foreign collaborations, share purchase agreements, PSUs projects, taxation matters, and various other types of commercial contracts. In addition, he has managed and involved in significant transactions such as insolvency resolution process, renewable energy portfolios, corporate tender bids, international contracts, and other important M&A deals. Today, I'm delighted to have this conversation with him, and where he will share his experience and valuable insights regarding the working style of one of the prestigious Big Four firms, PwC. A very warm welcome to you, sir. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Thank you.
So before we delve into our discussion, I would like to thank you for accepting my invitation and taking out time from your busy schedule. I hope our conversation will be highly beneficial for those aspiring to join Big Four firm and gain a deeper understanding of their working style. So with this, let's begin. So starting with, could you share your journey at PwC, including the various roles you have handled and areas you have worked on during your 11 years tenure?
So I started my journey with PwC in 2011, just after graduation, become honors. So there's not a campus placement although, but they had my resume because I wanted to join defense forces. Ultimately, destiny led me to the corporate world, and yes, law was my passion. So legal was something, not a career-oriented choice. So people, today tend to choose which area should I focus on in terms of economics. How much will I earn? What will I be after 5 years, 10 years? So legal was my passion. So that was not a target to join corporates as a legal. But then eventually with PwC, it gave me a lot of flexibility to join evening classes from Law Center 2. And it has been a good experience, because we are matured enough after doing graduation and we were 23, 24. So uh, doing a full-time LLB, then, my father told me that you go for evening course and do something fruitful in the morning. So I got placed to PwC, and there, I joined the International Taxation Department. And during 3 years of this law, I took this as an internship, though I was on a full-time role. So I did 2 years as international taxation. I kind of briefed senior counsels on certain matters, on factual aspects on behalf of the clients. Then on the indirect tax side also, VAT and service tax were a few of the matters wherein we used to kind of assist counsels in CSTAT. Now repeat. So these were the certain areas which I worked for initial 3 years. But after completing the law, I joined the regulatory department of the organization, wherein the core focus was towards M&A transactions, due diligences, then advising on various regulatory framework, regulatory nuances, compliances. So yes, that journey of 11 years at PwC had been really enriching and fruitful, I would say. I've taken a lot of things professionally as well as personally.
That's amazing. So while handling a lot of transactions, have you encountered any challenges or complexities while working on such projects? And if so, how did you manage? And what are some common difficulties one may face while handling such kind of a transaction? So
say handling matters or tough challenges comes in every role, be it engineer side, lawyer, or any other professional. For me personally, I have been kind of a specialist on smart city projects. So you deal with government a lot, government officials. So there
Yes.
is a bit of sync or that connection that you have to build with them, because corporate to corporate there is an understanding, but between government and corporate, you need to come to that level or come to that understanding with officials that whatever you are delivering is what it is about. Because see, why they have hired you, because they are not experts on these areas. What happens in a corporate to corporate is they understand at least basics of it.
Right.
So there was one case where one of the bidder was not selected, or say was he was not awarded the bid, etc. So there was some challenges, to which it was a good experience to kind of handle such type of issues, because that's a big deal when you are kind of giving a red stop signal to somebody that, sorry boss, you have not complied with XYZ conditions, therefore you are not able to bid and you are not selected or you are not taken forward. And that in terms of escalations goes into the authorities, that why such a good bidder or such a prominent bidder has not been selected. So you have to be business and legally both strong with your reasonings. So as I said, any profession that you take, challenges comes, but how do you handle it? So initial years you may have a lot of aggression, when you join. I believe that at least my personal experience is a lot of composure is required, a lot of empathizingness is required, a lot of listening skills are required, because as a lawyer you tend to be aggressive, putting your foot down on the person, that this is what it is, this is what I'm saying, this is what law is. At times you need to go beyond law and understand. I mean, obviously there's a difference between litigation and other legal field. So litigation, you can press upon, you can fight, argue between with your counsels, or your opposite party's counsel. You may tend to even kind of raise your voice before the judge. At times it happens, but ultimately, to crux, I mean, to sum up your answer, is that one needs to have composure, listening skills, and also go beyond legal things, because those legal provisions are definitely there, but you have to come out with a solution. So solution and oriented approach is what I have kind of personally delivered, and uh, kind of took it from PwC. Took it in the sense that this is one of the core motto of all consulting firms, that you are there to provide solutions, problems are there everywhere. So that was a good experience, handling with government officials, and also involving a complex issue of not selecting them actually. And you don't succumb to pressure, because that's one thing. You may be having less number of experience. The person, other guy sitting, a country head, the business head, the director, but you will have to be sure that you are going with full preparation on your matter as you go for a litigation case.
So basically, that happens with the government. So
No,
when
even it may happen in corporates. So as I said, I mentioned you're going on a negotiation with a counterpart, the opposite party. You might be facing, you are 6 year, 7 years, 3 year old experienced lawyer, but then you are talking to somebody who is 15, 20 years experienced person.
correct,
Whatever legal jargon he may use, you may not have come across at all. But
correct.
how you have to kind of put that into a different basket and see, keep it very simple and thoroughly.
Okay. So moving on. So you're having a lot of experience in vetting or analyzing contracts. So can you list out key points one should keep in mind while handling the same?
See, contracts, I generally refer to my, I would say, not mentor per se, but yes, he is a mentor of all, uh, Honorable Nani Palkewala ji.
Yeah,
So, his book is very simple. He says that keep the legal language very simple. So, in contracts also, people tend to make it very complex. See, you make it complex, it becomes complex for you only.
correct.
So, the better English you write, although legal language has some different flavor, but yes, using simple terms make it more clear and less litigative. So in contracts there are two parts, one is drafting, one is negotiation or closure. So drafting is something when you draft, you need to know the objective. That's what I've learned from my legal bosses. Then you need to be clear. You can draft anything. As you write an application to a district magistrate, if you don't know what you're writing, what you're aiming to achieve from that application, if that district magistrate is going to lost in that application, okay, what are you really asking for? That's what is required in a contract. That there is a flow. Obviously, there are certain what do you call uh, key covenants or key provisions and
Yes.
key clauses that are must for every contract to have. But the rest of the part is a legal plus commercial angle both. So a lawyer may be giving a sample or draft of how the structure should be, but there are certain technical aspects which the business teams also needs to put in. One is the drafting part. As I said, keep it very simple. Keep your focus, keep your objective very clear. What are you going to draft, for whom you're going to draft, and are the relevant provisions. You need to have the understanding of the business as well. If you don't understand business, you will not be able to draft contract.
Correct.
Now the negotiation. Negotiation, you need to see on which side you are. So if you're on a defending side, you have to see how. I mean, whether on defending or the other side, you have to see how best you can protect the interest of the organization aligned with the company policies or company's objective. So, I mean, negotiation could be a very different technique. There are various techniques to call it. There are various books in the market. But you come with experience also, like how kind of you play down with an either an alternative clause or either striking down, or maybe you are altogether saying that okay, nothing doing. This is what it is. It will remain as is. So there are 2 3 options. One is to keep it as is, make amendments, remove it, or give an alternative language. So these 3 4 options are exploration basically. But as I said, you need to know the person whom you're going to negotiate with, because you need to know what the thought process is. Because at times it happens in legal cases, one-to-one discussions, law versus law. So diamond cuts diamond. It's kind of that kind of a story. So you definitely have to be very prepared and sometimes listen and then bounce off. So you can't put no bouncer all the 6 balls is a bouncer. You have to see play, which ball you can, and like cricket terms you say it, you have to keep variations so that your over goes a good way. So that's why your negotiation should go a good way. You need to understand the other person and your objective also, that you are going to get a wicket or going to get your particular clause getting inserted or passed through.
Right. So is there any way through which someone can learn how to negotiate, or this comes only with the experience? So
See, more of it comes with experience. You go with your seniors, you kind of request them to take you along on those negotiations. You maybe there are various online things also, in terms of theory, legal theory. So theory plus practical are 2 things. Theory you must know, because you need to know what you're going to speak, you're going to negotiate. Unless until you know the law, you won't be able to negotiate. If somebody says you indemnification, if you don't know what is indemnification, what is liability, what is the difference between them, then how you'll be able to negotiate.
application of law one should know.
Yeah,
So that
but
which we
more
understand.
negotiation comes more with experience.
Right.
And negotiation, it's not only with law, it comes with your personality also.
Correct.
That are you a good negotiator, whether in market, whether for wrong things. So that also you need to see. There are certain, I mean, I've done MS psychology also. So your brain at times, some is late thinkers. So once you're done, then you realize, oh, I should have negotiated more. I should have bargained more.
Right.
In terms of
Right.
somebody tells you, this product was not good. Hey, I got this for this price and all. So all these informal things are also part of negotiation. So legal negotiation is something that you need to have particular knowledge about it. So when you're, let's say, generally you guys go for shopping. I mean, ladies like shopping. So if you know about a product, fabric, silk, if you don't know about it, how will you be able to negotiate the price? You need to know the quality and content about it. So that's same thing with legal.
And this can only comes with experience only.
Yeah, you buy 10 sarees, you'll be able to find out which one is Mysore silk.
So one more thing, you were talking about drafting. So when you draft an agreement, what do you keep in mind? So like when you use the legal jargons or a very simple language, so what do you keep in mind that lawyers can understand, or the client who might not be from a legal background, they can understand, or they would be requiring a law officer or a lawyer so that they can do the interpretation and so that they can tell them. So what is your main thing to keep in mind while drafting an agreement?
See, our honorable Ministry of Justice. So they also draft very good statute, but then ultimately it goes to the courts for interpretation, and then that interpretation also goes for a second review, third review kind of a thing, from High Court to Supreme Court and Supreme Court to larger bench, etc. So
Right.
whatever you drafted is definitely going to be interpreted in XYZ manner. So thing is, either you at times, more writing also make it complex, less writing also make it complex. So what is apt writing? That you kind of address, and with the consent of both the parties, those clauses are added or inserted or drafted, so that they are both on the same page. And it's not about the parties, it's about a layman. So tomorrow
Yeah.
the legal person may change, the business head may change. What you
Mm-hmm.
are intending to do, that intent should flow out very clearly. That's the main objective actually.
So, from your experience, can you tell us how this client negotiation process operates?
See, I mean, I just now spoke more, I mean, in detail about negotiation. In client
Okay.
negotiations also, as I said, you need to see on which side you are aligning with the policies of the firm or policies or interest of the client. Basically, when you argue in the court, the same thing applies. You are arguing in the interest of your client. You are taking every best possible legal legal jurisprudence. You are taking the new interpretation or new skills that you kind of take the court through a different this thing. Okay, that judgment you're quoting is not applicable or parameter, it's very simple, portion of it you may apply, but then the other portion is not getting covered in that judgment, so we need to look at fresh. So client negotiations also go to the same object, that you need to protect the interest of the client. Now, what is the interest that you're going to achieve, commercial, legal, that is you have to define, and it depends on the case to case basis.
Right. So, is it always that the agreement or contract you are drafting is from one sided, because you always protect the interest of the client and your organization? So, what about the other party? If you have put any arbitrary clause and the other party is not aware, so in that circumstances, what will happen?
See, when you want something, okay, and this is I'm just giving a lot of informal examples, because they as I said, now your audience would want to keep it very interesting, very simple.
Right.
So when you are in a not in a bargaining position, you go to a buyer, you need a, let's say you go to a car showroom to buy a car, okay, you don't have much room for negotiation, because that's your need and that's the price they are selling it, so you can't negotiate with them. Okay. Likewise, there is arbitrary clauses are there, in the sense that when somebody is bundling, in terms of today's market, you see there are a lot of internet players. They're
Right.
selling you with 6 month package, 3 months package. So you don't have an option because you're a buyer. So
Mm-hmm.
in similarly to these transactions between parties, one, the buyer and the seller, if they both are at the same footing, that I am also boss, you are also boss, well, we are transacting, which is a requirement of yours also, mine also, then you kind of bring the clause in a very balanced manner, or balance with a balanced approach. But when you are, let's say you are a buyer, you are in need of those services, let's say, sometimes must have heard some scam goes on, some changing of auditor, now you are in need, pressing need to hire some big four or other person. What
Right.
do? You go with the terms. And you want to get that audited, get your image clean. If you're not done something wrong, if you have done definitely something wrong, then obviously how even hiring any person would make that thing good. So in those terms, you say, I would charge 10 lakhs rupees, or I would, these are my terms and conditions, you agree or not. In that sense, any big four, any consultancy, or maybe any other person, I would say, not just big four. So if you are selling a service, like you go to a lawyer, you go to
Right.
any big shot lawyer, he says, I'm going to argue, these are my terms and conditions, this is my fees. Are you going to pay? I'll do. So this is how the position, it basically depends on where situation analysis.
Right.
The clauses
So,
also flow the same way.
hmm. So moving on, how would you describe the working culture at PwC?
I would say it's a great place to work. I mean, my 11 years, I would say that I've learned a lot. I've good boss, got good partners, good directors to work with, got good learnings as well. Sometimes you were let free to do what you wanted to. Sometimes you were also let free to kind of explore different opportunities. I went from taxation to regulatory, and then doing the contracting piece also, risk management. So that flexibility. Then there is a good working culture that people understand your need. Ultimately, whether it is big four or any other industry or corporate or maybe even in government sector, it is your boss. Even if you see political things, it is your boss who decides your tenure. So if you get a right team, right person, right team leader, right partners, right seniors, things flow well. I mean, I'm not saying that they are sweetie guys, but definitely they kind of help you where you need. They guide you where you need. They scold you where needed. So it's not that they'll be very sweet and you will just earn without doing anything. So the point was that, as you mentioned about the work culture, I really liked it. I really embraced it. I really got professionally and personally. I made very good connects within PwC. Those would I would at least cherish. I don't know about the other person. I think hope they like me too. I got good messages while my farewell that they miss a lot in terms of work as well as personal front. Also, I've been in touch with many people. So I would say that one should not hesitate or think, a second view or second thought whether should I join PwC or not. It's a good organization, and I would say excellent organization. People friendly policies are there. Now, as I said, policies can be framed. Now, implementation is upon the team leader. If you got a good team leader implementing your work from home, any other policy, which is in favor of employee, then you should take advantage.
And your 11 years of experience, I think, says it all that you have to stick to one particular firm. So obviously, there might be something that's the reason.
Yeah, I mean, there were offers in between, giving hike, etc. But as I am a firm believer that when you're getting good things, just in terms of monetary gains. I mean, this is as I said, my personal belief. Somebody is money passionate. That's also right. No right or wrong approach. So if somebody would want to stay with an organization which is a good work culture, good learning, as long as you're getting good learning, I would say stick to any organization, be it government or private.
So moving on to my next question, in the light of ever-changing legal landscape and its complexity, how do you stay up to date with these changes and ensure compliance with new regulations and laws?
I think nowadays, I mean, from last 4 5 years, there are a lot of startups and a lot of new legal companies. I would say legal companies in the means that legal resources that have come up.
Correct.
So I would name many so that there is no biasness that people see. So there's corporate law reporter, there's live law, bar and bench, then web pages or maybe audios like your channels like you have started LegalWiki, right? So such startups have also given a lot of clarity in terms of the legal profession as well as legal updates, the judgments. So earlier you used to focus, now you are getting from many other these portals, criminal judgments also, civil judgments also, then from a commercial courts also, debt recovery tribunal, insolvency. So various specific field related journals have been come into play picture, I would say. There are also the players who have got onto YouTube specifying the various judgments, as and when updated. So be it a political judgment, be it a Information Technology Act, cyber law. So I keep updated with the internet as well as journals that I generally read up to or look up to. And I think for a corporate lawyer, any financial newspaper that you can read up to, because all corporate or related changes, let's say Ministry of Corporate Affairs or insolvency or any policy change that is done, so it gets covered. I mean, those statements also you can I mean, not just law, you get various opinions also on those news articles. But yeah, judgments also, as I mentioned, there are various judgment service providers also giving you updates on your area specific as well as general also, that what you would like to learn.
So with a lot of
But
changes now,
reading is important.
Yes, reading is important, correct. So now with a lot of changes now, AI has come into picture and there are a lot of technological advancements, right? So in your opinion, how will this impact our legal field?
See, technology is impacting everyone maybe. I mean, people are saying that AI is losing jobs.
Do
Then
you
that
think
statement
AI
comes
will
that
replace the lawyers also?
no, that's never gonna happen. I mean, you can automate certain things, but I mean, and it's all this whatever statements that I'm making is all my personal use.
Yes.
So I mean, certain law firms started using these things on very early age. Top tier one law firms actually.
Yes.
So there are a lot of manual work definitely which can spare your time, but then uh, that time you should be able to utilize on yourself. If you're using AI, then and still logging for those 8 to 10 hours only earlier also and now also, then there is no difference. Using AI or any technology for cutting the manpower is worst thing I would say, because we are here to create or maybe utilize manpower, not
Correct.
to make them redundant or make them waste. What will they do? They will do menial jobs. They'll do robbery or what? I mean this is applicable to not just legal industry. I'm talking about every field.
Right.
When you bring machines into your factory, either you will have a lot of technicians repairing them, maintaining them, etc. Instead of making parts, they are maintaining machines. So you should be able to utilize the manpower one way or the other, where efficiency can be improved. Similarly, in the legal field, judgments extraction, let's say, some lawyers complain initial years that we do a lot of clerical stuff, we do research, judgments, finding, reading 10 judgments. How can I save time? I'm spending more than the required time at my job. I'm not satisfied. So
Uh,
all these small but big problems can be solved through technology. Using AI, you can kind of generate a judgment, you can
and
extract
I
the
think they have
judgment,
started
what
doing
we
this
talked
also
about.
with the use of
Sorry?
AI. With the use of AI, they have started doing this. So
Yeah. So I mean, using technology in a very fruitful manner is something which every organization should look into. And in the legal field, as I said, if speed is the key, somebody is looking for efficiency, somebody is looking for. So today also AI is not that strong. So it's just based on the input and output. So who gives input? So technology is not something that creates everything on its own. There are legal judgments which are drafted by lawyers, not lawyers. I mean, the judgments are drafted by the judges. So if that judgment has to be written, no. But yes, what technology has done is there are a lot various tools. When I visited a doctor, he was handling some mic and speaking my this thing, diagnosis notes and all. So instead of typing and all, taking his time, he's just speaking this. So at least 10-15 minutes per patient you're seeing. So it's able to see more patients. So that's called beneficial technology. So legal, your answer was whether how would it impact legal field? I think it's going to impact in a positive way, and it should be taken in a positive way. It should be implemented in a positive way, so that the resources or the resources are utilized. Because resources, it doesn't mean only manpower resources. Technological resources also comes at certain cost. We are taking let's say in making something, in making of a coin, making of a currency, you have to have paper cut, then printed, etc, etc. So
right.
whatever technology is coming, it coming with a lot of resources. We need to be cautious and judiciously apply it or implement it. But yes, it is good and beneficial, I would say. The only thing is that wise use of it or intelligent use of it.
Right. So now, as we can see, there are a lot of developments in areas of law. So what are some emerging trends or areas of focus in corporate law that you believe will have a significant impact on businesses or the legal world in the future? And also, what specific area would you recommend to budding lawyers to focus on?
So I think, see, I can say from my experience only. I won't say much about litigation. Litigation is altogether a different set of, it's a set of practice that that is, what you call uh, mm, different from a courtroom versus a boardroom. So lawyers, in-house counsels who are working with companies, organizations are boardroom lawyers, I would say,
Right.
and they have their own importance. They have their own skill set to manage companies. You can't compare apple to orange. Though when you call doctors specialized in orthopedic surgery, in neurosurgery, so different skill set is required. So a lawyer is a lawyer, but then ultimately what area that you choose to practice into or choose to imbibe or adopt into is different. So when we talk about corporate has various nuances. There are various law specific specializations also. Labor law is one, general corporate is one,
Yes.
then
So in a
arbitration
lot
is
of
one.
areas they started developing like fashion law also, like aviation law, entertainment and media
Yeah,
law. So yes.
that see initially you want to, because contract act is basic of everything. You are going to draft contract, negotiate contract, then everything surrounds your activity, or let's say your business operations. What do they demand? Where you are working with? You are working in IT, you need to focus on SAS contracts, so software as a service, or service. You are a service provider, then you need to have update with IT laws because you are dealing with cyber and all in IT company. But service, so basically depends on what service offering that your organization is offering. So somebody is human centric, a manpower service provider. Somebody is manufacturing, so you need to be updated with Factories Act, labor laws, more depth, in depth, compliances with very small things. And then somebody is into, let's say, financial sector, so you need to be updated with financial, fiscal laws. Then somebody is into listed companies, so you need to be aware more about SEBI regulations and all. So the area that you choose, then you bring that expertise along with you, or develop a practice or develop a expertise along those lines, I would say.
So one of the problem which is being faced by budding lawyers right now is to choose a correct area of law, because they don't have that much of awareness, and now there are a lot of area of law to choose for them. So how they can decide? Is there any way, or I think through internships maybe, or is there any way to decide in which area they should work or anything?
I think you were very rightly pointed out that internships are only best way to judge yourself, because that gives you on-ground experience. So you intern with various lawyers or various firms and in various areas. I would say, don't just stick to one. You will be. I have seen people who have interned and got to know that this is the field that I want. If you keep money as a objective, then every area has money. Even IPR lawyers specialization have money. Even arbitration lawyer have money. So I mean, this is not just with legal field; it's there with every field, that people tend to look uh, economics, or what do you call, paycheck as a focus area. The journey to that paycheck is something that people don't realize. You're going to a place to enjoy, but that journey also has to be with your interest. Okay,
Right.
what so whether you choose flight, whether you choose road, whether you choose train. Now somebody likes road trips, somebody likes air travel, somebody likes train. So various, I mean, somebody like public transport also, I mean bus. I've seen my friends traveling solo travelers, etc. So point is, how I mean, how you want to reach to that paycheck is important. What area that interests you, that gives uh, good, best or excellent results out of your own efforts is important. So
Right.
somebody may be good arbitrator, somebody may be good labor law specialization, somebody may be more into technology wanting to go into IPR, because IPR is something which is technology related in these days, at least any innovation related. So IPR is also one thing. The Competition Act. So I mean, I have colleagues in different fields working, but they have developed their own area of expertise. So through these internships, you come to know how the field is playing. You, along with the application of knowledge, I mean that legal knowledge that you acquired in college, that what is competition act, what this clause says, how it is being argued. Now even arguments differs from criminal cases to a civil dispute to a commercial dispute to a constitutional matter. Arguments differ. People tend to saying that I am a constitutional lawyer. So people have interest. I want to work on constitutional law matters only. I don't want to get into bail or maybe murder, etc. I want to protect right of, I mean, I want to basically practice in the area of constitution. Somebody say that trade and commerce is enticing to me, and not just enticing, it gives takes out the best out of you, that you're able to understand business, how business is operating. If you're not able to understand business in a corporate culture, you will not be able to survive with good I would say performance. you may survive. Everybody survives, but with good performance, you need to survive. You need to know how the industry is doing, how where you are working, where what organization objective and goal is, how you're going to deliver. And as I said in the beginning, whether it is any field or any formal informal structure, you need to have a solution oriented approach.
Correct. This was one of the problem which budding lawyers are facing right now. And apart from that, there is one more thing which I think we should address is related to drafting. So obviously, like as you have mentioned, the drafting comes with experience. But apart from that, there are a lot of courses right now available. So what is your recommendation on this? So would you recommend these budding lawyers to pursue any specific courses for learning drafting, or this can only comes with experience? They should have some patience, sir.
I think whatever courses are being offered, I believe that a lot of expert people or people with expertise are delivering those lectures. And you, as I said, maybe you can learn from anyone something at least. You will get maybe out of 1 hour lecture, or let's say one course, you'll be able to pick up few things from that. So uh, depends, it's a personal choice whether to go for courses or not. But you need to see the content, how you have to choose. I can my personal view can say, how do I look at some certain courses. So look at the content first. What I going to, we simply go by fascination. Somebody's coming, you can hire anybody with payment, okay, that come, please give lecture to us, we have so many students or this thing. And you make a huge paycheck, you draw a lot of students or a lot of participants. But ultimately, whether that person, though capable, but how he's being paid for what. I mean, there is a background behind the understanding between the parties, that you will do, you sir, you will only be required to tell these few important clauses. You're not required to in-depth knowledge, etc. So you need to understand what content is being delivered as part of the course, who is delivering, what are the number of hours, whether you're getting soft material, whether you're getting any uh, course material or any assessments that are going to be done, any certificate that would be provided. Now, certificate or no certificate, I am not a firm believer of certificates, though I have done a lot of certifications just to satisfy ego maybe of my own at that point of time, or maybe to show that when somebody talks about certificate, I can show that, boss, I also got 10 certificates. But then these days, it's not a matter of pride, I would say, or not a matter of what do you call implementation. You, if you have knowledge, if you got to speak from your mouth, you know what you have gained maybe by your own reading, and you're able to explode, I mean deliver, then that's fine. So I told you what the things that you can choose from, or look at while choosing course. Other than that, start doing from day one, or let's say from initial first year when you join a course. Draft anything, help people. I mean, there are various people around you asking for drafting application. Make simple application drafting also. Go to any uh, DC office or any civil court, etc. Uh, you know, uh, आप free में agreement draft करो, rent agreement or anything. You will get. I mean, you have a lot of resources online available. Try to build them, because those things may not have that big repercussion. In terms of, let's say, making application to DC, what will happen? It's going to be approved. He'll see that, okay, this is what is being asked for. You can then have a copy of that and analyze how your drafting skills have improved. By the year, by the time you go to third year, fourth year, you'll be able to know that, okay, 2 years ago I wrote this.
So
How
can you
and how
share
did I
your
write that?
experience? How did you learn? Because you are drafting a lot of agreements, right? So how about you?
See, I have experience drafting letters for my father. When he comes from a defense background, so he has his own area of expertise of serving nation. So wherever any application was to be made for anything, I mean, let's say applying for a flat, any grievances that we used to fight for, and there's some sense of some not sense of full sense of righteousness that I have. So I am telling what I experience. I help people. People ask me for drafting. Let's say, no, I have to make an application for this and this matter. This is pending. People are not responding. RTI is one. I've got good friends who have been vocal about RTI, helping people to get right things. People are using RTI for a different mood today, altogether today, due to for political reasons. But there are right genuine needs of the people asking for where my file is stuck,
Right.
why my subsidy is not coming. So if you help those people, kind of legal aid that you call it,
Yes.
enroll yourself or get associated with your district legal aid authority or legal aid department, and you will get a lot of work that you can draft with. So as I said, I through a social service, you can also become a good drafter. I mean, there are a lot of areas where you can explore.
Thank you for sharing this. So moving on to my last few questions, can you explain the hiring process and Big Four, and what skills do you prioritize while hiring candidates, sir?
So as a resource manager, if I'm looking for somebody to hire, uh, it depends on what level you're hiring. Freshers are also welcome, experience are also welcome. But then people, generally think one should get entry into Big Four culture only from the beginning or any good corporate. I, I mean, you are lucky if you get through, but working at any firm would be good. Just think on what quality of work you get, what uh, mentoring that you get from that organizations or from that immediate boss or immediate senior that you work with. So I am not just saying that join from the very beginning for a Big Four. While hiring, what we look at is whatever you have put in your resume, and that's a very simple thing, for any, I mean, what I've experienced also. Whatever you put in, the input, that output is coming from, people are going to ask you from that only. If I'm
Right.
looking from an experience, you can write 8, 10 things. Now, when whatever you write 8, 10, out of 8, 10, at least you should be expertise on 6, 7 things. I know you have done 3 things. Let's say I've also done few things, few matters on something, and I write in my CV. But that I can categorically call out that I did few of the matters on these areas, but I'm not an expert into it. But yes, I have basic knowledge of it. But other than basic, you need to have at least 1 or 2, 3 areas that matching your skill set as well as your what is the required by that organization. If that organization is asking for an arbitration lawyer and general corporate law also to be part of it, then you must have worked on arbitration matters. You just simply can't apply blindly, and people do blindly apply, and that makes the applications flooded, and then right candidate may not get selected or get opportunity. So my advice, sincere advice is, when we call it that right people and right set. So you should know that you just don't apply for the sake of applying. You read that organization's goal, objective, or maybe background, where what they work. Are you interested in joining that organization? Are you meant for, let's say, any particular sector, let's say financial, manufacturing, or service industry, anything? Then what have you worked on? So you may have worked on, let's say, government contracts.
Yeah.
Now you apply to, maybe there are UN organizations also asking for procurement specialists, etc. So lawyers also have a good scope in doing some certification from UN related organizations or related associated or sponsored, or let's say these specific organization that they say that do course from this organization. So doing those courses gives you particular knowledge, theoretical knowledge, but then you have to tend to get work in the organization that you're working in to implement that, and that implementation will give you expertise that you put in your CV, so that when you are asked certain questions from that experience, you are able to correlate and you're able to kind of deliver your best. I mean, a person sitting on the other side uh, asking you question is, it's he's got more experience, and that person also should understand that this person has less experience than me, that's why I'm hiring. So I need to understand that yes, he has got less experience than me, but what I'm looking at to deliver, let's say I'm looking him to deliver certain negotiation, or let's say certain contracts, let's say certain compliances. So whether he is aware about that level of compliance knowledge or not, if you're expecting somebody to be interpreting a non-compliance in your own experience or into your best ability that you have done 100 compliance diligences, or you are a compliance specialist. That person has only 2 years or 3 years of compliance. He may not have come across those situations, but
Right.
yes, that person has to correlate that this particular non-compliance relates to this particular provision of the law, or he can say that I can go back, check, or I can, if you give me 2 minutes, I have ready. I mean, you should be ready with you should be not ready. I would say you should be aware about basics of anything. Let's say if it is a Companies Act, if you're talking about CSR, you should know which section talk about CSR. If you say
Yes.
appointment of directors, which section talks about appointment of directors?
Correct.
Then you can probably read that and interpret that. That's how lawyers also do in litigation, in courts. They have their full preparation ready, bare heads ready, judgments open. That's why we call it, legal field. When you're doing open book litigation, then why can't you have open book examination? And that applies to every field. I mean, when you go to the engineering also, the concepts that you apply, so you should be able to solve that problem, whether by looking at the book or not looking at the book.
Correct. So what about the hiring process? How someone can apply?
Any Big Four, any particularly to PwC, because I worked in, so I mean, and this is there for all organizations. So you have different sources. One is that you go to LinkedIn, you go to that particular organization's website, also keep visiting. So let's say you want to get into Reliance. So you keep visiting Reliance website. You are there opportunities coming, or you target 4 or 5 organizations that I want to get into this organization. I want to get into McKinsey, PwC, KPMG, EY, anyone. So, and then there are filtrations also available. Let's say you don't want to go to a particular organization's website, you might not be having so much time or miss out on that. So parallel search engines are there, like LinkedIn is there, then you have Naukri.com, other service providers, Times Job, etc. So you can also subscribe to those also if you are specifically looking for, because those guys are in day out working into that sector. So it's good to have expert services of those experts basically.
So moving on to my last question, what advice would you like to give to law students aspiring to work at a Big Four? And based on your experience, what suggestion do you have for young lawyers?
So you work at Big Four. As I said, we are kind of boardroom lawyers. Okay, assisting to unwind, maybe provide a solution to complicated things, compliance, then what do you call regulatory framework analysis, what regulations. So let's say a law firm particularly, or let's say a lawyer who is in practice, would be specifically looking at litigation mind. Okay, but here let's say there's a new law for IT companies to comply with, or compliance that needs to be done. So in-house lawyers should be very proactive and should know about what compliances, how would it hit my organization. So you go to a counsel or practicing lawyer for an opinion, for drafting, for fighting your case. But on the other side, in-house advisory, in-house counsel, you are as good as a person assisting to kind of implement those policies. Straight away, let's say there are 10 requirements coming in to maintain your data. So you have to check your organization's framework, how it is currently, what it should be, what policies it should have, and those drafting that you have to kind of do. So budding lawyers, see, from a day one, you got to be very particular about your internship, serious about your internships. Just don't do for the sake of resume writing that I've done internship with this person. You can, I even applied for research clerk at Supreme Court of India. There's examination conducted, for research clerks to assist the judges, Supreme Court judges, and that's very honorable position, I would say, in terms of learning, as well as the organization that you work with, a top court of the country. And so budding lawyers should focus on 2 3 things: right internships, right bend of mind to understand and evaluate. After you have done an internship, evaluate whether you like, but give your feedback to yourself, whether what are the do's and don'ts, whether the your self-assessment that you write. When you talked about writing or drafting, this is also one way of learning drafting, that if you're able to assess yourself whether you liked, or and you need to take opinion or maybe feedback from the organization that you intern with, that is it something that my qualities or abilities cohes with, or they are aligned with. So if you must also take internship with a practicing lawyer in court, maybe on criminal also, civil also. You will get to know, and hard work is put in by every lawyer, I would say, whether it is boardroom, anywhere. Like a worker to an MD of the organization, everybody uh, contributes to the organization equally, I would say. So for budding lawyers, good thing is to get right mentor at right stage, stay in touch with your teachers that you think will be able to guide you better, your seniors, not just in terms of academic excellence, but otherwise also. So one should maybe have 2, 3 mentors, 4 mentors, so that they can guide you at appropriate time and give you good guidance, actually.
Thank you so much. So that's the end of our discussion. Thank you, sir, once again for sharing this invaluable knowledge and experience with us. It was a wonderful conversation with you, and I hope the insights provided by you will be beneficial for all. Thank you so much, sir.
No, thank you for inviting me, and I'm available for, as I said, to specifically for people coming from underprivileged background, or let's say people who come from lower middle class family who struggle a lot, get into legal, want to get into legal field. Uh, Please feel free to reach out to you or connect to me. I'm
Sure.
more than happy to share my experience. I am maybe I'm not so great person or so very qualified that you have explained. But yes, whatever I have, maybe I have 6 out of 10. Out of 6, I'll try to give whatever I can. So it's about giving. Whatever I
Right.
can give, I'll try my best. There are more capable, qualified people, maybe there in the market, there around people. So take advantage of those also. That is it about my personal, uh, personal opinion, or say, or personal efforts that I can put in through your medium. As you said, budding lawyers, everybody needs guidance, mentoring. I can give my time, and I think time is something which is more invaluable,
Correct.
which people think that, if a person is speaking to you, he has got time. I value
Right.
time. So, and I think for a lawyer also, I was reading some, maybe I'm elaborating more in detail, but I was reading a founders or co-founders article. You said that what are you trading? You're trading time, actually. Whether you are working in organization, you are trading in market, stock market, or doing business. So what are you trading with? You're not trading with those goods and services. You are trading with time. So
Correct.
whatever time that you value is making your life worth it. Thank you, Surbi. Thank you so much for inviting. I'm pleasure and obliged, to have on your forum to give or share my experience that can help somebody.
Thank you so much, sir.